And just checking. Check, check. Just checking. Check, check. And if you guys are live, if you could make sure to give me the thumbs up. Okay, while I'm just figuring out sound, I'm going to let you guys know, because I think you can hear me all right. Grab 2 blocks. And if you guys are live, if you could make sure to give me the thumbs up. We're also going to be working. We're also going to be working with a playlist today. So the playlist is Nature Yin for Sunday, March 28th. I can't believe we're March 28th already. So grab that. It's going to be pretty soothing and easy to be with for the next little bit. And you'll also need your 2 blocks and anything else that makes your practice cozy. And if you are ready to go in the way that you have your stuff, what you need, your playlist, your blocks, you can just take a seat like I am on the block on the lowest height. Husband Paul is reaching out about sound stuff. And if you are sitting on the block, you just kind of sit to the edge of it with your sit bones grounded on it and let your legs fall open in a Sukhasana cross-legged sit. I'm just going to check out what I hear. Husband Paul is... All right. And just as we sit here, what I want you to pay attention to is any kind of sweetness in terms of the knees falling open, any kind of space you might be grabbing in through the legs and inseams of the legs and in through the hips. We're going to get started in about 1 minute with our practice today. Again, I've picked a playlist that isn't quite a playlist in the way that we know playlists to be. It's nature. It's called Nature YIN, March 28th on my Spotify, and my handle name is My Friend Simone. It's called Nature YIN, March 28th on mine. Hi Mom, happy Sunday. So if you're sitting on a block, amazing. If you are not and you're just sitting on your mat waiting for things to get started, we're going to get started. So if you can just find that seat and that long spine. Use the grounding of your sit bones to long your spine. And just starting out, 3 breaths. So a kind of settling in to the breath and the body being this space of us for the next little bit of time. You can have eyes closed, you can have them softly open, and take one more inhale and exhale. And then in your sit, whether your eyes are open or closed, bring maybe the right hand to belly and the left hand to heart. And take another breath in and out as you ground into why, the why for meeting your mat. And stay with that. And just noticing, choosing that. Noticing the importance of being deliberate with our practice, with our why, with our need. Especially if there's any rush to get to the mat, any settling in, taking the time to ground. You can open your eyes if they're closed, keep them soft. You can reach for your device if you're working with a playlist, and I'm going to count it down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. If you got ahead of yourself, or ahead of me, I should say, and if you pressed play ahead of time, don't worry about it. After all, it's nature that we're working with today. So it'll settle into you no matter what. You're going to lie down, have your props nearby, and then actively step your legs wider than you normally do in Shavasana. And then tune into your big toes and feel the big toes relax into a heavy expression. I might fan the big toes open a little more and the insides of the feet a little more exposed to space. And then actively tuck your chin in a bit to long your neck, maybe lifting your head to do that. And then actively stepping your arms a little wider and your palms face up so that you can feel maybe a little bit of space or air at the armpits. And exhale pretty deeply and feel letting go. we're here for a bit of time. So whether drifting off with a playlist or the space that you're in, just surrendering yourself over to everything while attaching to nothing. Just letting go, one breath at a time. The physical ask of this pose is fairly simple, and yet it's completely natural and expected that you might be running into a bit of challenge to be here. Just noticing what that is. Taking a final breath here, in and out through the nose. With a mindful heart and eye on that Y for meeting your mat. Slow gesture and movement to bend the legs, one leg at a time maybe. Putting the soles of the feet on the mat. Reaching for your prop, your block, and getting it ready to put underneath you as you press into the feet and lift the bum and hips off the ground. Breathe in. And slip your prop underneath your sacrum. You could start with the smallest height, maybe the medium height. You might lightly re-tuck your chin in, maybe through lifting your head to make the neck long and meeting the mat. Notice the sacrum and its base onto the block so that you can really set into that space without holding yourself up. For those still trying to find a kind of relationship to releasing and letting go, you might be able to feel for your front body and maybe even your pelvic floor just kind of melting into that space of support where the block is. As we commit to this pose for a little longer, you could inch up the height of your prop, or you could let your legs go long and rest your heels to the mat. Or you might do both. And remember to commit to no effort in the feet. There's nothing about your feet that are helping you be here. You're simply grounding into the support of your prop and letting go. Last 5 breaths here. Really calming the body down. So if there's anywhere where it's charged up or firing up, whether it be in the thighs, the glutes, or the toes, just relax that part. Just soften into letting go. For our last breath, can you fill up and feel your belly kind of get a little wider, a little higher, and hold as you get to the top of the inhale? And then let go. If your legs are long, just really slow, soft gestures to bend one leg at a time, soles of the feet on the mat. And then to ground through the feet to sneak the bum up so that you can sneak your prop out and slowly come down. And as you slowly get down and ground your lower back in a way that you can feel the sacrum maybe settle down a little deeper into the mat. Maybe that's elongating your back body through the upper shoulders as it inches up your mat like it's stepping. And just wave both your knees to the left and to the right. Somewhat actively here, using that effort to move your knees like window shield wipers. And to feel whatever space that grabs. And then you'll come up to center and pause any movement in the knees with your feet about hip width distance. And we'll cross our right ankle over our left thigh like a figure number 4. And then leaving your arms and hands out of it, start to lift your left foot off the ground and press your left knee towards your chest. So you start to feel a little bit of yang effort here, drawing a stretch into the outer right hip. And then put your right hand through the space of your legs. And then grab your left hand with your right hand, interlocked hands at the left thigh. You might be able to interlock hands in front of the left shin, but only if you can keep your back body grounded onto the mat. Recognize that your interlocked hands are all the effort that you need. So there should be no pulling or charge in your biceps as we hang in here. As your interlocked hands at your left thigh maintain the integrity of the pose, can you feel for how you're letting go through the heaviness of your left foot, the softness of your shoulders and shoulder blades, and the release of the expression in your jaw and maybe the shut down of your eyes? Five more breaths here. Keep the figure number 4 of your legs, but release your hands. And you can place your palms down on either side of your mat so your arms are a little wider. And then put your left foot down on the ground, keeping the figure number 4 of your legs. And just with a ton of ease, wag your legs in this shape to the left until you can feel your right foot ground flat onto the floor, and also feel for the outside of your left foot to the mat. There's sensation in that right hip and in the twist through the right side of your torso. You may be in enough territory to stay still. You may need to adjust your shoulder blades and maybe walk your left shoulder blade a little more to the left and look over your right shoulder blade for a little more depth here. You could also take one of your props in your left hand and hold that block or prop to the inside of your right knee with the rest of your left elbow to the mat. And as you just hold that prop up against your right knee, you'll maybe get to push a little more intensity into the stretch. The great thing about being in these twists is paying a little more attention to your breath and how it navigates its way in and out and through you in the body of the twist. About 3 more breaths here. If you're looking over your right shoulder, you're going to want to start by bringing your head back to neutral. And if you're holding that prop or block up against your left knee, you're going to want to release that and your left hand down. And then press down through the palms onto the ground that frames your mat. Press into the outside of the left foot. And rise your knees, your legs back up into figure number 4, left foot flat to the mat. And then right leg long, steps into a Shavasana state. Let the left leg follow just so you can feel how the shape has changed your Shavasana. So interesting to notice the difference from one hip to the next. And then we're going to step the soles of our feet to the mat, one leg at a time. Knees face up to the sky. Ground down through the sacrum, even if you have to kind of lift your butt and feel the whole base of the sacrum onto the mat. And then cross your left ankle over your right thigh for figure number 4 and pause there. Hands and arms out of the way. You're going to start to lift your right foot off the mat to press your right knee up against the outside of the left ankle to draw it in towards the chest. And then recognize this stretch just here. And then thread your left hand through the hole of your legs. Interlock with your right hand at the right thigh. Ground through your head. Ground through your upper back. Let the heaviness of your right foot just drop in. And let the effort only show up in the interlocked hands. So you're holding the shape, but you're releasing into this space. Takes a little bit of being deliberate here to understand that your interlocked hands are the only effort showing up to this shape. And so you might need to almost walk through your body to soften your biceps, to soften your butt, and your thighs, and your toes, and your jaw. I'm going to take about 3 more breaths here. And then keeping the figure number 4 of your legs, the shape of your legs maintains. You're just going to release your hands, soften your arms down, your palms down, and then put the right foot down onto your mat with figure number 4 shape. And you might step your arms a little wider. And then with an exhale breath, you're just going to relax your legs to the far right until the left foot grounds onto either your mat or the floor on the outside of your mat. And the outer right foot is grounded onto your mat. And you've got your twist. And you might need to walk your right shoulder blade a little more to the right to encounter a deeper twist. And you might even look over your left shoulder. And you might, as a last offering, add on here to take your prop in your right hand and hold it up against the inside of your left knee with your right elbow resting to the mat. Notice the kind of journey of your breath in, out, and through your body. So if you follow that breath pretty deliberately, it'll give you a little more peace and steady here. And more likely a little more stillness within the busy of the mind. Before shifting at all from what you created, take 3 more breaths. And then if your head and your gaze is off to the left, just bring it back to neutral. And if you're holding a prop in your hand, just letting that go from pressing up against the left knee. And then grounding your palms down, framing the outsides of your mat. Press down into those palms, press into the outside of the right foot, and help your legs back up. And you might heel toe the right sole of the foot, more center. In figure number 4, you might have to push into the right foot to lift your bum and center your sacrum down. And then slowly uncross the left ankle and lengthen the left leg long. And then let the right leg follow suit. And then step the soles of the feet once again onto the mat so the knees look straight up to the sky. And then ground your sacrum down onto the mat. Sometimes it helps to press the feet into the ground, lift the sacrum and reset. And take a big inhale through the nose. And on your exhale, just let your knees be wide so the soles of your feet meet in Baddha Konasana butterfly. Just like prayer hands would meet. That's how your feet meet. You might be plenty open from the work that we've done to let the knees fall into space and meet gravity. Or you might slip your blocks underneath your knees to support them at any height. I want you to be able to let go of holding your knees up. So you really want to ground in letting your knees go. And if you need support to do that, do that. Some bodies may even enjoy putting the blocks to the insides of their thighs and resting the blocks heavy there to create a little more depth in this shape. I'm going to hang on just a bit longer because it's about now that we start to discover a little more depth in the pose just by showing up to it. So it may be the case that if you've put props underneath or on the outside of your knees, you could maybe investigate letting that go. And take 3 more breaths here. It's really nice as a gesture to put your hands on the outside of your thighs. And then just help your knees back up by pressing to the outside of your thighs. And when the knees face the sky, you should be able to ground onto the soles of the feet and pause there just to feel the shift. And then you're going to bring one knee in at a time over top of your belly and chest. Just let them show up however they show up. Mine show up with a little bit of space in between the knees. And then notice if you can just be here without involving your hands and your arms. And kind of trust that the knees are weight heavy and they're just going to fall into place here. And check out that your feet are relaxed, they're not flexed, or the toes aren't kind of charged here. Feel the base of the spine, that sacrum, grounding into the floor. For the most part, even if there's a slight pickup of your butt. When you breathe in, feel the rise of your chest and belly. And when you breathe out, feel that fall. And then picking up your hands and a bend of the arms. And you're going to put your arms in between your legs and pick up your legs and bring your feet towards your hands for a happy baby. So I like to hold the outsides of my feet with my arms spreading through the inside of my legs. Some people hold the insides of their feet. Some people hold the big toes with peace fingers. The important part is to get that you've got a little bit of effort holding your feet, but then you're letting go of a charge in the body. So you hold on to your feet, your toes, whatever it is, and then you let go of the knees being wide and the bum being heavy and the heart melting into the back body. It's totally okay for your lower back to kind of pick up off the ground a bit. Follow a kind of lead of your bum being off the ground. It's also totally okay that your heels get heavy, the heels of your feet, and they just kind of rest a little heavier or closer towards your sit bones. Just taking about 3 more breaths here. We're not here for much longer. You can kind of squeeze up through the belly to lift your head. And then you can release 1 foot at a time, stepping the feet kind of wide and knees wide onto the mat. And then you'll be able to put your head back down and just extend your legs into this wide shape. And then just move through 1 whole breath in and out where you feel the rise of belly and chest and then the fall of belly and chest. And then you can slowly sit up. And we'll take on 1 last pose before our final pose. And that's going to be a pretty wide and generous child's pose. So you can start in a kind of tabletop, widening the knees. Now I can get my knees to the edge of the mat and then bring the toes together. And set my butt back towards the heels. And then I can just rest my forehead here onto the mat. Use my forehead to ground down. Create a decent bend in my arms so I'm not reaching through the fingertips here. Softening through the back body and shoulders. And just feeling any space that you can inhabit in your hips and in your resting here. Your sit bones getting wider away from one another. Your bum more relaxed. May be the case as you relax into this that you bring a cheek to the mat. And if you do that, you might find time to also just even it out and look the other way. Even if we've got tight hips here, even if we've got this challenge in our body, just understanding that this shape is inherently human. That's why it's called child's pose, because the babies do it in the crib. The kids do it. They understand how to meet their body in this spacious way. We just know. So as you meet any kind of challenge, especially as it relates to this practice, a lot of these shapes are very human. They're very much meant to be received by us. I'm going to ask you to kind of press into your knees and shins, and with the help of your hands pressing down, kind of roll up so that your spine rolls into a straighter expression, slow and steady, to sit your butt on your heels in a wide seat of your knees. And take your time out of this shape, coming into Shavasana. You should be able to really get in wide and spacious. We've done a lot of opening through the hips, so this should be a little more home in the body. A lot of what we encounter in the way of almost feeling stoppable in the body and stoppable in the hips is really a lot of sitting, a lot of driving. And so as much as we can, even outside of this practice that you might even be really lucky to find daily, but as much as we can outside of this practice, visiting a lot of these shapes that are inherent to being human, to being open and spacious in that body of ours. Enjoy your Shavasana. Namaste.